What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. My name is Joey Petersen. It is Wednesday. It is the evening. That means it is time for our Baltimore Ravens Rundown live show. We got 4 segments today. Usually we run with 3, but hey, free agency is just around the corner. We're going to dial up the coverage just a little bit. 4 awesome topics to get into. Well, not as much awesome for this first segment because some bad news might be coming the way for the Baltimore Ravens over the next couple of days. But the good thing is, in segment 2, we'll talk about some great news that the Ravens are going to be getting after free agency is over. Then we're going to dive into our live Ravens Rundown mailbag. Your questions, my answers. Your chance to get on the show to ask me anything you want to ask me, whether it's free agency, trades, draft, offseason, coaching staff, Lamar Jackson's contract, anything you want to know. I got you right here. And then to round things out, we are going to go our top Ravens free agent targets, 25 names for you to keep an eye on as free agency rolls around next Monday. Name a free agent you want the Ravens to go and sign down below in the comments section. Next time you see me live will be next Monday. Free agency will have already started by then, but I want you right now to name a free agent for me in the comments section, in the chat right now. We got Jacko who's in here. What's up, Khalil? Good to see you. Mr. Miss Zachary is here. Yoshi. We got attendance squad. Khalil's in here. Ravens Pro. Brian. Jacko. IAG. All of the real ones already hanging out. Brian wants Trey Hendrickson. Big Key wants Trey Hendrickson as well. Brian also would be good with a move for Jalen Phillips, who plays his football with the Philadelphia Eagles. Yoshi wants Trey. Emmanuel saying, what's up, Joey? What's going on? JF, we do not need Crosby, and he's also a bad person. Interesting. I didn't think Max Crosby was that bad of a person. When will Lamar's contract get extended? Great question for the mailbag. Ask that again. Use hashtag Ravens. The answer, any day now. Hendrickson, says Emmanuel. Who is JF? JF for free agents. Maybe Julian, say it again, John Franklin Myers, maybe? Maybe Julian Phillips, if Phillips was spelled with an F? Huh? Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to keep Hopkins? Yeah, I'd like to re-sign Hopkins. It's not going to cost you much at all. I thought he was actually really, really solid out there as a big X wide receiver on the outside. That was corny about Max, says Brandon Edwards. Sure, I don't know what you're talking about, but I agree with you, Mr. Brandon. All right, and real quick, we do got to tell you about an awesome deal that we've got going on right now, chatsports.com/flockgreen. You can go ahead and get yourself some St. Patrick's Day merch. Baltimore drinking team. Who's going to join me on it? We got it in green. We got it in black. And we've got a brand new hat. If you guys want one, get it today because they're $24.99. Beers on the front of them. 5 of the most beautiful letters combined together to make one of the most beautiful words in the English language. I guess it's actually 4 letters because there's the double E. You guys get what I'm saying. That link for all of that is in the comments and description of today's video. Join me on the Baltimore drinking team, chatsports.com/flockgreen. 24 hours to make sure you get it by St. Patrick's Day. If you want it after that, then you can get it whenever. Regardless, it's going to be available for you. All sizes, 2 colors. Get yours today. I was telling you to get those questions in to get on the show for a reason. Use hashtag Ravens if you want to find yourself on an episode of the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. Great question from Cardinals is good. Jacko says it was an abbreviation for something not very nice. What is it? Yeah, maybe? I don't know. How about a trade for Jonathan Grenard from Minnesota? Wouldn't hate it. Do we have the cap space to keep Tyler? Yes, we do, Jerome. It'd be dicey, though. Mike Evans. Stephon Diggs, says Yoshi. A ton of people. Again, reminder, get those questions in. Hashtag Ravens in that comment. That way our software can, make sure it gets into the computer. That way we can get it on the mailbag. That way you can see yourself on a Ravens Rundown video. Anything free agency, draft. If you want to ask me about my dog and my wife, if you want to ask me the truth about how Parker is doing as our producer this week, there are no holds barred when it comes to these questions. You guys get them in right now. And if you want the Ravens to make a splash next week, Do me one big favor, hit that thumbs up button and like today's video if you want them to make a big move, to not just sit on their hands, to not just be passerbyers, I don't know. If you want them to actually do something next week, then do me one big favor, hit that thumbs up button and like today's video, ladies and gentlemen. We have 57 people watching. We have 8 likes. That, frankly, is not good enough. So what I'm going to tell you, we are not going to do our first segment till we get to 30 likes. That means we need 20 more, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Now we just need 19 more. If you guys love free daily content, if you love hanging out with us here at the Ravens Rundown, if you want us to go live on Monday for day 1 of NFL free agency, do me one big favor and hit that thumbs up button. 15 likes, we're halfway there. We just need 15 more. What are your thoughts on trading for Jonathan Grenard? I would do it. Now, it will cost you a second, but, are you going to get a player like Jonathan Grenard in the second? I don't know. So, I think you re-sign Draymond Jones, you trade for Jonathan Grenard, you have Mike Jones, you had offensive guard in the first round, you get a defensive tackle in free agent. You're kind of starting to turn some things around, ladies and gentlemen. 21 likes, 9 more, 9 more. Don't make me hold my breath again until we get there, because the last time I did that, I almost passed out. Kimberly, you got to ask that again, because you need to have an S on the end of it. Smelly says, do you think we'll trade down to pick Caleb Banks or Vega? I think they would trade down to pick Vega, but Caleb Downs is not going to get past them. So, no to the Caleb Downs. Okay, 23 likes. 7 more, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Kimberly? Attendant Squad asked, where is Producer Gage? Producer Gage is no longer with us today. He is just in the bullpen right now. He'll be back on Monday. Don't worry. We are just kind of switching some things around. Yoshi, I really, really like that question. That's my favorite question I've gotten so far, Yoshi. I'm begging you, ask me it again and use hashtag Ravens so that way we can put it on the show. Okay, I'm going to hold my breath until we get 2 more likes. But just know we got some awesome things coming up, okay? So if you want to get into those awesome things, hit that thumbs up button because I got to hold my breath until we get there. Oh, thank God. We actually got up to 35. I'm thankful you guys don't want me to die. Okay, let's waste no more time. Everybody's breaths have been held as much as possible. I'm going to grab some water. Catch my breath again. Parker, we ready for segment number 1, my friend? All righty, let's do it then. All righty, segment number 1 coming at you right now. What's going on, Ravens fans? Welcome into the Baltimore Ravens Rundown. My name is Joey Petersen. If you missed it, Isaiah Likely joined the K. Adams show today, and he had a lot to say about his future in free agency, his very unlikely future with the Baltimore Ravens. And he actually said something very, very interesting about this new coaching staff. You got to stick around to hear everything from number 80. It's going to be pretty upsetting. Okay, I can promise you that. And I want to ask you this question with 2020 hindsight. If you had to pick one of these 2 guys to be your tight end in 2026, who would you choose? Would you choose Mark Andrews or would you choose Isaiah Likely? Do you basically like the decision that the Ravens have made sticking with 89? Or do you wish they would have extended Isaiah Likely back in the season and he was your tight end 1 going forward? Let me know by typing those MAs or ILs in the comment section down below. answer our pinned comment. So after this interview, I believe that Isaiah Likely is as good as gone. Kay Adams even asked him if there was a possibility of a return to Baltimore, and he very kindly answered that question, but I really don't think it was anything to hold your hat on. He said the door is always open for Baltimore, only because that's family. They took a chance on me when all 31 teams passed during the 2022 NFL draft. So he said that, and you're kind of like, oh, sweet. Well, maybe he'll take a hometown discount to stay if he's so thankful for the Baltimore Ravens for selecting him back in 2022. And then he said that he's only talked to the position coach at the Ravens and that he has not talked to anyone else when they've brought in a new head coach and a new offensive coordinator in Declan Door. Isaiah Likely said he hasn't talked to either of those guys. That tells me everything I need to hear. If Baltimore had any desire whatsoever, whether it was like a 5% inkling to keep him in Baltimore, they would have had discussions with him already with their new head coach and with their new offensive coordinator, but they didn't. Likely is gone, okay? And we've kind of known this was going to happen ever since randomly, out of thin air, the Baltimore Ravens decided to extend Mark Andrews. Mike Garafolo was the one who reported it in early December, 3-year, $39.3 million deal. We went in to 2025, that season, knowing only one of these guys was going to be back in 2026, and it was may the best man win. And apparently, this Ravens front office thought it was Mark Andrews. And honestly, like as much as I like Isaiah Likely, as much as I love his fit, and as much as I want to see him in a Declan Doyle offense and to keep seeing him be a Baltimore Raven, he had his shot to take this last season by the horns, take control of it, and steal that tight end one spot from Mark Andrews. But we also got to be honest with each other and honest with ourselves. He didn't do that. Okay? Plain and simple. 27 catches to 307 yards, 11.4 average, 1 touchdown. Mark Andrews had more catches, more yards, and more touchdowns, just like he had last year as well. So sure, Isaiah Likely would be awesome to stay if he took a massive, massive pay cut. But he's projected right now on the open market to get $14 million a year. And frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if I want to pay that for a guy who caught 27 balls last year. That's like $500,000 a catch. Now, that doesn't mean I'm happy with the contract that they gave Mark Andrews, because I'm not really. The bright side of things is the compensatory draft pick you're most likely going to get for Isaiah Likely is a 5th, maybe even a late 4th if you're lucky. But regardless, everything I heard today, everything he told Kay Adams, everything, even the things he didn't say, right? It was pretty obvious to me that Isaiah Likely will be playing football somewhere else in 2026. And hey, if he can get a bag, good for him. Go let him get his bag. Do you want a miracle to happen and somehow he ends up with the Ravens still in 2026? Do him a big favor. Hit that thumbs up button and like today's video. We got more to discuss. Latest news and rumors evolving in this scape of getting close to free agency. Don't go anywhere, but real quick, a word from our sponsor. Before we continue on with the video, here's what I'm looking to trade on Polymarket. For tonight's Knicks game, Polymarket is giving New York a 39% chance to win against Oklahoma City, which is wild. The value there is way too good. The Thunder have multiple players banged up with injuries, while the Knicks just put belt to the Spurs on Sunday, carrying in some momentum. For those reasons, I am taking New York at 39% to win this game. $100 wins you $256 if New York takes the dub. Plus, with Polymarket, you can trade in and out on momentum shifts without getting blocked or penalized. With in-game trading, once the Knicks get up, I can either ride it all the way out or I could sell early. For example, if you buy at 39% and sell at just 60%, you can snag a cool $154 payout. I'm keeping an eye on the fourth quarter, where the Knicks have won by a decisive 9 points or more in their last 2 games. You can't do this with a traditional sportsbook, so get started today. Polymarket is legal in all 50 states. Download the app now to get to the top of the wait list. The only way to do that is by clicking my link in the description and comments. All right, let's go around the National Football League as we round out today's video. Latest news and rumors. The closer we get to NFL free agency starting on Monday, the more these news and rumors will be flying around all teams in the NFL. Apparently, there is a new price for center Tyler Linderbaum. Kevin Ostreicher was repurposing a report from Albert Breer that apparently Ravens center Tyler Linderbaum and his agent are aiming for $25 million a season. Now, Albert Breer also believes that Linderbaum really isn't going to get there. And I would be shocked if he did as well. The highest paid center right now is Creed Humphrey at $8 million. You're telling me that he's going to get a raise of $7 million a year and reset the center market that much? I don't think it happens. That would be what, like a 33% increase, maybe even a little bit more than that, like 38%, somewhere in that realm. And I just think that no team in their right mind is going to do that. Now, I do believe he's going to get 22, okay, but I think that's where he caps out. Now, there's good news and bad news with that. The good news is you get a good comp pick out of that. You get as high as you can with a third-round pick. The bad news is you lose Tyler Linderbaum, who is a centerpiece of your offensive line and a really, really good player and consistent at that center spot. Aaron Rodgers, because if there's one thing Aaron Rodgers is good at is making everything about himself, including the time right before NFL free agency. He went on the Pat McAfee show today. A lot of people, my coworker Jack Sperry included, thought that there was a chance he could announce whether or not he was returning to the Steelers or to the National Football League in 2026. He made no such commitment. He actually said, I want to say that anybody on here who's expecting me to make a big decision, turn it off now. Now, he did mention that he's doing his best to stay fit for reasons that don't have to do much with football. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up on social media or online. But, again, right now we still don't know anything about Aaron Rodgers. Don't know whether or not he's back with the Steelers in 2026. Obviously, I think our hopes is that he's not going to. He beat the Ravens twice last year, and while I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the one that beat you, I think it's more your defense was not great. And honestly, your offense in that first game and the last of the regular season did not perform to the best of their abilities. But he's a better option than what they've got, right? Like, if they don't get Aaron Rodgers back, the word on the street is Mike McCarthy's going to run with Will Howard for the 2026 season. And I would love to see that happen. In fact, I hope and pray every single night that that's the fate of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2026. Last up, another edge trade target emerges, Kayvon Thibodeaux, a guy who we've actually discussed a decent bit on this channel over what seems like the last year or so. We did get a report from Connor Hughes, a NFL insider, covers the New York Giants and the Jets, that says the Giants are, quote, actively exploring trade options, and then that trade price would be around a fourth-round pick. Which, ladies and gentlemen, I would do that in an instant. Okay, I would do that in a heartbeat. Kayvon Thibodeaux still incredibly young. Obviously, he's got the injury problems, but we've seen him be a really dominant edge rusher in the National Football League. You put him on a team with Jesse Minter as the head coach, I think that unlocks a whole other level in him. Okay, so I would make that trade, fourth-round pick, Kayvon Thibodeaux, any day of the week. Should the Ravens trade for Thibodeaux? I want to know. Let me know down below in the comments section. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? Let me know how you feel, Ravens fans. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. Brand new episode. We'll be here all weekend as well. And reminder, we will be live right here on the Ravens Rundown for free agency starting next Monday. So make sure you subscribe. It is imperative. That way you don't miss a moment of what is going to be one of the most exciting times, hopefully for the Ravens, as Eric DeCosta, Jesse Minter, this entire new regime bring some new players into Baltimore to help get started. All righty, one segment is down. We've got 3 more to go. We hit you with the bad news. Now it is time to hit you with the great news. Got 91 people still hanging out here with us. Really appreciate you, my friend. Yoshi did get that new question in. I want to make sure that is an early one we hit, Mr. Parker. Kimberly's still hanging out with us. Brian's hanging out with us. Yes. Our questions pulling up. Perfect. Great. Hey, make sure you guys are hitting that thumbs up button. Liking today's video. Do you think the Cowboys should pay Brandon Aubrey $10 million a year? Mm-hmm. You think 10? Reset the kicker market that much? Dude, Ice asks, chances Linderbaum stays, I'd put it at 5% right now. I do not feel very, very good about it at all. What up, Kurt? Good to see you. If you had to choose, how many primetime games will the Ravens have this season? I think they'll have 6. I do. I think they will have 6 of them. Keep asking those questions, ladies and gentlemen. We got a good bit flooding in already. Make sure to keep hitting that thumbs up button. Let's try to get it to 65 likes before we start our next segment. Coming up next is a little bit on... Oh, actually, we will have to switch some things around. Parker, let's do this, okay? We're going to make... because this next question has to be St. Patty's. Excuse me. Segment 3 has to be St. Patty's because segment 3 is actually going out tomorrow. And then this next one is going to be Prize. Cool. Great. I'm adding that in. Cool. Okay. Alrighty, I'm ready to roll if you are, Parker, to get into segment number 2. Oh, we can just rip into it. Alrighty, our second segment, some great news, some things to be excited about. Make sure you keep hanging out with us, subscribe, like, comment down below, and let's get into it. We've got some really exciting days to come for the Baltimore Ravens and, frankly, for the entire National Football League because free agency is right around the corner. Technically, they can't sign to their next teams until Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. However, the tampering period opens up Monday at noon Eastern, and that's when you'll start seeing all of these deals flooded. Okay, so we're about just, 72 hours away from all hell breaking loose in the National Football League. We're going to be right here to cover it all, and the Ravens might get some really, really great news because of it. What I'm about to tell you, it's going to sound like bad news, but I'm going to convince you exactly why you should be decently excited about this. We're going to find a silver lining in this particular subject in talks of Tyler Linderbaum. Do you want the Ravens to make a splash next week? Do you want Eric DeCosta to throw everything against the wall, everything he's done in the past, and say, hey, look, it's a new regime, it's a new me, and make a big move? If you do, hit that thumbs up button. Let's talk about Tyler Linderbaum, because right now he is looked at as the second best option in all of NFL free agency. Linderbaum has a tone-setting mentality, ESPN says, on the interior of the front, using elite foot speed and body control to match pass rushers or climb the second level in the run game. His pass block win rate of 97.2, tied for second among 31 qualifying centers last season. Albert Breer reported just yesterday that Tyler Linderbaum is looking to get $25 million a year in free agency. Now, he thinks he'll get short of that, but what do they say? Aim for the moon, because if you miss, you land among the stars. He's still going to get somewhere around $22.5 million. And I can hear you and see you watching this video and saying, Joey, how on earth is that good news? That the Baltimore Ravens are getting outpriced and will lose Tyler Linderbaum. Well, if you want to look at that optimistically, if he gets paid like he's expecting to get paid, like everybody's reporting that he's going to get paid, you are going to get as good of a compensatory draft pick as possible. The highest those go is the third round. If he gets paid like he's supposed to, you will get a third round pick for him leaving in free agency. A lot of people watching might not know what a comp pick is. Let me explain it to you. It's additional draft selections awarded to teams that experience a net loss of high value unrestricted free agents in the previous year. Okay? last year, 2026. Comp picks you're about to get for guys you lost in 2025. You're going to get a 5th rounder for Brandon Stevens because he signed a $12 million contract. 5th rounder for Patrick McCarry. He signed a $12.5 million contract. You got a 7th rounder for Tre'Davious White and Josh Jones, who both signed deals worth $4 million a year. So basically, when it comes to compensatory draft picks being awarded to teams, if you lose more in free agency, players lose more than you gain, you get rewarded, especially when they get paid. You are almost guaranteed a 3rd-round selection for Tyler Linderbaum, which is the highest these go. You can't get any higher than a 3rd, and you only are allowed 4. And so getting something that high, like there's silver lining in everything, and I think it's a big, big silver lining if you are going to let Tyler Linderbaum walk. He's got to be the highest paid center, okay? Eric DaCosta has mentioned that he's offered him a market-setting deal, but right now market-setting could mean $18 million, $500,000 a year, and he's getting offered more than that around the league. And what we know about Eric DaCosta is that he loves draft picks. Loves them. Covets them. They mean everything to him, okay? And so I also would think this somewhat means the Baltimore Ravens are going to be active in free agency, but maybe not as active as you might think they will be because they don't want to ruin anything with these compensatory picks, especially a 3rd rounder coming from Tyler Linderbaum. So you might be upset that he's leaving, and you should be, but the great news out of all of that is you will get rewarded handsomely for that. Would you pay Tyler Linderbaum $22.5 a year to stay in Baltimore? Give me a yes or give me a no down below in the comments section. What say you, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know where you stand on keeping Tyler Linderbaum. Let's make sure we got the right List 5 logo reveal there, Parker. Simple yes or no, 22.5. I don't know if I would go that high, okay? I really, really like Tyler Linderbaum, but 22.5 is a massive, massive amount. Let's talk about other free agents that you will get comp picks for if they exit in free agency. Let's talk about Isaiah. This is a guy who is as good as gone. We talked about it last night. He went on with Kay Adams, basically said he hasn't talked to Jesse Minter or talked to Declan Doyle. He was on with John Gruden last week, and he said, I just want to be able to blossom, right? I feel like the last couple of years, I've had a great veteran in Mark Andrews. That tells me he's not interested in coming back. His projected contract, this dude's about to get paid. $14 million a year specifically, which to me, although I really like Isaiah Likely, he's kind of crazy, just given the fact that, he caught 27 balls last year, and he's about to get paid basically $500,000 a catch. But that comp pick projection, again, reminder, if you lose free agents, you want them to get a bag, 5th round pick, maybe even a 4th round selection, depending on where some free agents lie and how much they get paid as well. So right now, with Linderbaum walking and Likely walking, you're going to get a 3rd and a 5th, or maybe even a 3rd and a 4th. Let's talk about Alohi Gilman as well. Because if you got money for Josh Jones leaving in free agency, I promise you, you can expect to get some money from Alohi Gilman leaving in free agency. His projected contract is $4 million a year. Now, if I'm being honest, that is a contract to me, it's worth it to keep him. I don't think $4 million for Alohi Gilman seems that crazy or far-fetched to me, especially because he already knows Jesse Minter's system. But let's say they let him walk, right? You would get a 7th round pick for that deal. It's a 7th rounder. You could either use that to make a selection in the 7th round, or you could say, you know what we're going to do is pair that with another 7th round or a 5th. Let's go move up in the 3rd or 4th round. I don't really care what you do with it, but you will have it in your back pocket. Name a Ravens free agent that you want to keep down below in the comment section, okay? Weigh in with your answer. Who's a guy you want to keep in Baltimore that otherwise might be leaving and playing football somewhere else? We got more free agents to talk about, more comp picks to break down, but real quickly, I do got to tell you about our awesome sponsor, our great friends over at PrizePicks. Shoot your shot on PrizePicks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. PrizePicks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. PrizePicks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting, so don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Pick from all your favorite sports, anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. PrizePicks now has early payouts. If your play gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. They also got season-long projections for baseball. I'm taking the more on Juan Soto home runs, 37.5. The less on Paul Skeens' ERA at 2.65. And the more on Roman Anthony for 20.5 homers. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Up next is Jauan Jennings, a guy who I feel like is going to see a pretty decent payday as well. Now, he's not going to make like top 10, top 15 edge rusher money, but he does play a very, very important and coveted position in the National Football League, which means he's going to be paid a lot more handsome than you or I will. I'm projecting around $10 million a year, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe 12 if you get a team or two in a bidding war if you were his agent. If he does get that $10 million a year contract, you're looking at probably somewhere around a 6th-round pick, a compensatory pick for Jauan Jennings for the 2027 NFL draft. That would do for me, right? I don't think it'd be the most exciting thing in the world. I really actually like Jauan Jennings, but hey, 6th-round pick, man, I will take it, even though you traded more to get him, but I digress. Kyle Van Noy. Unfortunately, you will probably not get much for Kyle Van Noy because he's projected right now to get paid around $3 million a year, maybe even a little bit less, which is maybe a 7th-round pick. Like, you're going to have other guys that are going to be free agents and going to go some other places that are guaranteed to be higher 7th rounds, more likely, than Kyle Van Noy will. So, you only get 4. That's probably not one of the ones you're going to take. And DeAndre Hopkins is the last guy that will maybe be leaving in free agents. Again, these guys are all maybes if they're leaving or not in free agency. I really don't know what to expect with DeAndre Hopkins. I think around $3 million a year. His price probably goes down by a couple million than what you signed from last year. So in that same vein as Kyle Van Noy, probably around a 7th-round pick. Which, again, it's Eric DeCosta. He'll take all he can get. And also a reminder, it's based on what you add additionally with what you lose. So they have to lose more free agents than they get to get all of these comp picks. But if I had to project them right now, Tyler Linderbaum, you get a 3rd from him. Likely you get a 5th or a 4th. Jauan Jennings 6th, a Louis Gilman 7th. As we sit right now, that's kind of feeling like where it's most likely to head. But again, like I was just saying, teams have to lose more than they gain. You could only get 1 comp pick. Tyler Linderbaum, that'd be sweet. You could get 2, you could get 3, or you could end up with 4 like you did this last year. Like we know Eric DeCosta loves those draft picks, usually likes to end up with that many. That'll do it for today's show. Thanks so much for hanging with us. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. It's going to be a great place to be for all of free agency. I'll be keeping you updated on my socials, so make sure you go ahead and give me a follow. Those are linked down below in the comments and description. And make sure you are also subscribed to the channel. Ravens Rundown. We got you covered for anything you can need involving the Baltimore Ravens. We're going to be live on Monday for the free agency, day 1. It's going to be a blast. Hope to see you there. Make sure you like us in and subscribe. All righty. 2 segments down, 2 to go. Parker, how we feeling? Feel like you were kind of in your baggie right there on that one. Not gonna lie, you were flying around. I'm very, very impressed. Everybody, get those Parkers down in the chat. Parker's first time. Is this your first solo live show produced? First solo live show. I didn't even realize that. He's doing a great job. Everybody, make sure to tell him so down below in the chat and show him a little bit of love. Up next, we are going to answer your questions on the mailbag. We also are going to get into my perfect free agency plan for next week, okay? You're going to love it. I hope so. I'm kind of going to try to get my bag for being as good of a general manager as I could possibly possibly be. Nintendo Masters giving Parker a little bit of love down below in the chat. We appreciate him. How are we doing with questions, Parker? We got a lot? Okay. We got a lot of questions, but if you guys ask some really good ones, even mid-cut, we're going to be able to get to those as well. We're not going to beg, but we're just going to say, hey, get your questions in on the show. I am ready to get started with segment number 3. And this one, reminder, St. Patty's. And yeah, we'll just hit the free agency plan and then run out the time with questions as I get into the mailbag. Again, so thankful you guys are hanging out with us. Let's keep on hitting that thumbs up button, liking today's video. Every like counts. We appreciate them all. And thank you so much for watching. Alrighty, Parker, you ready to roll? If you could read only, that says laying out bot a realistic. If you could make that say both, I realized that after I typed it. Trade for Max Crosby, says Game Overlord. Thank you, sir. Do you want Sonny Styles to be a Raven? I would love so. I just don't know if he falls all the way to 14. Okay. Let's get it, man. Free agency plan, into your questions. It is going to be a fun one, all starting right now. Morning, Ravens fans, and happy Friday to each and every one of you. Actually, I'm going to restart that because this is going out on a Thursday. Morning, Ravens fans, and happy Thursday to you. We are going to kick off your Thursday morning in a great and fun way. I'm going to lay out my perfect free agency plan for next week, and then we're going to dive into your questions on the mailbag. Free agency basically starts on Monday. I would expect the Baltimore Ravens to be decently active, just given the fact that they've got a good bit of roster holes, brand new regime in town as well, and also they have a franchise quarterback at their disposal who's only getting older. They probably feel like they're in a good bit of win-now mode as we sit here. Eric DeCosta is going to need to be in his bag next week. But who do you think the better GM is? Okay, is it me? If you think so, type JP down below in the comment section. Or if you think it's Eric DeCosta, give me an EDC. I'm about to tell you why you should be voting JP, but let me know your answers right now. So as the Ravens currently sit in free agency, they have $18 million in cap space. Not a terrible spot to be at. $8 million of that is effective cap space. Both of those numbers put them top half of the league, barely at 15th overall. But again, reminder, if you make some moves, Lamar Jackson's contract, more on that in a second, you will open up a ton more cap space, okay? Let's start with my perfect free agency plan. Number 1 is get Tyler Linderbaum on a team-friendly deal, okay? Now, this sounds probably far-fetched because he's projected to get paid somewhere around $22 million in free agency. But I also want to remind you that at this time last year, there were reports about Ronnie Stanley getting a ton of money in free agency from teams like the Washington Commanders. If you remember those reports. And then Ronnie Stanley, kind of out of nowhere, took a team-friendly deal to stay with the Baltimore Ravens because he wanted to stay with a contender. So I think Tyler Linderbaum's going to have to weigh, hey, do I want to contend for Super Bowls and get paid $3 million less a year, $2 million less a year with the Ravens? Or do I want to go get a bag, reset the center market in a massive way, but have to go play for the New York freaking Giants or the Las Vegas Raiders? That's number 1. Lock Tyler Linderbaum down on a team-friendly deal. I don't want to have any more question marks on this offensive line than you already do at guard. Number 2, extend Lamar Jackson as soon as possible, okay? Like, get this done immediately. I would love, as you're watching this video, for it to be happening, okay? Because the second you extend Lamar Jackson, you bring that cap number down from the mid-$70 million to mid-$40. That opens up $30 million in cap space. And also, it keeps Lamar Jackson in Baltimore for longer. I have not lost any faith in QB1 after last season. Thought he had a horrible offensive line. Obviously, he was dealing with injuries since the very beginning of the year. And so I have zero reservations when it comes to paying Lamar Jackson and keeping him on this team. Number 3, I do think you should sign Draymond Jones. Okay? I thought Draymond Jones actually added a decent bit of juice to this team. when he got added to the mix. Obviously, not enough to make them contenders, not enough to get them into the playoffs. But also, I think that just automatically playing for a Zach Orr coach defense sets you back. Don't believe me? Think about what happened to Odafe Oweh. He had 0 sacks through 5 games with the Ravens, and then he ends up with double digits with Jesse Minter in Los Angeles. You're bringing Minter to Baltimore, ladies and gentlemen. He is automatically going to raise the level of all the edge rushers, Draymond Jones included, and I think his value right now is at a decent spot where you can make it happen, because if you don't bring him back, the edge rushers you have on contract, Mike Green, Tavius Robinson, and Adisa Isaac, that group sucks, ladies and gentlemen. They're not good enough. Number 4, I think you need to get better at defensive tackle. Whether or not Nnamdi Madubuike is back in the fold, I think you go ahead and grab John Franklin Myers out of Denver. It's going to cost you, but guess what? These are where Super Bowls are won. Think about the 2 teams that were in the Super Bowl this last year. Patriots, Seahawks, both of them spent big in free agency, okay? Patriots going and grabbing guys like Stephon Diggs. Seahawks going and grabbing guys like DeMarcus Lawrence and countless others. Look, you have to spend big if you want to compete. This is the time. So go get John Franklin Myers, and while you're at it, go ahead and sign Khalil Mack as well. I still think Khalil Mack has a lot left in the tank. Played for Jesse Minter last year in Los Angeles, knows the system, knows the way he likes to coach, knows what he expects from his players out there on the edge. And while he's not the old Khalil Mack, he's 2 seasons removed from 17 sacks in a year, okay? I still think he's got a lot left in him. And Baltimore, historically, guys like Jadeveon Clowney come to mind, have been a really good place for aging edge rushers to have kind of a little bit of a career revival. What's your free agency plan for the Ravens? Let me know your 5-step plan down below in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you're thinking for this next week in Baltimore. We got to get to your questions in just a little bit, but real quickly, I do want to tell you that today's the final day to make sure you can get our Baltimore Drinking Team t-shirts to your doorstep by St. Patrick's Day. We've got them in green, we've got them in black, and also, brand new item, we've got these hats for just $25. Same link, okay? Take you to the Ravens collection. They just say beers on them. The 4 most beautiful letters combined to make the most beautiful word in the English language. If you want a green beers hat, $25, or if you want a Baltimore Drinking Team shirt in green or black, go to chatsports.com/flockgreen. Get yours just in time for St. Patrick's Day. Today is the final day. You have to make sure that happens, okay? chatsports.com/flockgreen. To the questions we go. What do you think both Max Crosby and A.J. Brown are worth in trade value? Do you think EDC is aggressive to go after one of them? I think Eric DeCosta is far more likely to go after A.J. Brown than Max Crosby because I don't think that – actually, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to go after either of them, if I'm being honest with you, Giselle. I've kind of had a heart change in the 10 seconds since I started answering your question. Eric DeCosta loves draft picks. He loves them a lot. He has even been quoted in saying, the NFL draft is a luck-based process, and the more throws you have at a dartboard, the better you're going to do in it. He doesn't like giving those picks away. What I think they're worth is, I think A.J. Brown's worth a second-round pick and a starter, and I think Max Crosby is worth a first-round pick, a starter, and a fourth-round pick. That's what I think they're worth, but both teams are looking for very high draft picks, okay? I think the Raiders are looking for like 2 ones and a player for Max Crosby, and the Eagles are looking for a first, a second, and a depth piece. So, I don't think either of them get that. I don't think we make that happen. Yoshi J7S3K. Do you still want Lemon after how he acted in the Combine? Great question, Yoshi. I do still want Lemon. I don't care how he acted in the Combine. If you guys don't know what Yoshi's talking about, basically, Mekhi Lemon was doing this weird thing where he was like looking at the camera like this and like doing this snake charmer bit. I don't know what it was. That's probably just who he is. He also didn't listen to the coaches when they told him how to run a drill. They said 75%. It was obvious he was zoning out because he ran it at like 10%. Like, it might be crazy to say, I would almost prefer that of my wide receivers. I want them to be somewhat drama queens. I want them to have some level of swag and confidence to them that they can go out there and do anything they want. I think when wide receivers are playing with that kind of a confidence, those guys can't be stopped. So no, Lemon's not off my board after how he acted at the combine. If anything, he's risen up my board. I don't care. Similar to like the buzz that was going around Tedderell McMillan last year when that video resurfaced of him as a freshman talking about how he doesn't like to watch film. Everybody freaked out. I was not one of those people. I still think Mekhi Lemon's the best wide receiver in this draft. Fut Merchant 2384. Man, that sounds like almost a cuss word. Because Caleb Downs' knee issues that have been found recently, would you draft him as he was at 14? God, it's hard because I think Caleb Downs, pound for pound, might be the best prospect in this draft. I think Caleb Downs could have started 17 games for an NFL team last year. But you drafted safety in the first round last year. You got two really good safeties on the roster with Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton. You just don't need another at that position. And so, no, I wouldn't. What I would do, though, is try to fleece somebody who's at 15 and say, hey, look, we're going to take Caleb Downs unless you want him and try to get an extra third-round pick out of it, second-round pick out of it. But I don't care about the knee issues. I just, like, positionally, he's not what the Ravens need or want right now. Ohio State, Glazer, Natty. Why do I keep seeing people mock a defense tackle to us in the first round? That is the best part of a D-line, even with Madubuike out. I feel like the only place to go is edge or Vega or maybe a wide receiver. You need help all across your defensive line, okay? You really, really do. Madubuike is going to be back. And then you have Travis Jones. I don't think Broderick Washington's going to be on this roster. You have Jauan Jennings, Brent. Like, that's not that good of a unit. I'm sorry about it. That's just, it is what it is. Now, I think edge rusher and offensive line are bigger needs than defensive tackle, but I do still believe defensive tackle is a need. But I think Vega Iwane is my prediction. Not Kane B. With Diggs being released, do you think he is a likely target in free agency? No. Actually, maybe. I don't think so, though. I just don't know if a brand new head coach in Jesse Minter is going to want to deal with a headache that comes from adding a guy like Stephon Diggs to your roster and to your team. Jonathan Diaz, I think the Ravens should trade with the Saints to get the 8th pick and pick Bain, as I think he'll be there on the board. I don't think Bain will be there at 8. Okay, I don't care if he had 5-inch arms. I don't think Bain's going to be there at 8. And I don't see the Ravens trading up in this draft. I really, really don't. Unless there's a prospect they've actually fallen in love with. In fact, I would bet far more likely they trade back than trade forward. Our last question of the day comes from our main man, Scott's Channel 572. Do you think Spencer Fano could be the pick at 14 due to his versatility and the issue we have at center? Yeah, I do. I don't think he gets to 14. But I do think if he does, he could be the selection, man. I just think they'll take any offensive lineman that they can get. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. You can follow me on socials. We will have another video out later today. Make sure to lock us in by subscribing and turn on those notifications as well. So that way, whenever that video gets posted, whenever that video is out there, you guys can be in the comment section watching it right away, okay? Join our Noti gang, our Noti flock, as we like to call it. Subscribe and turn on those notifications. Alrighty. 3 down, 4 to go. Why can't the Ravens just restructure and then extend Lamar Jackson's contract and then sign Ravens Kyle Linderbaum before free agency happens because they will have more money to do so? They can restructure it, but they don't want to restructure that if they could also just get to an agreement with him. Because if you restructure it, you add void years onto the end of it. He's already got 2 void years on the end of it. So they don't want to add 2 more and then have an extension because that's just so much more of a headache. They just want to go ahead and get that extension done, if you get what I'm saying. All right, we got one more segment to get to. We're at 71 likes. Can we get to 90 by the end of this segment? That is my charge to you. That is my challenge to you, okay? 90 likes by the end of this segment. Free agency needs for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to give you 25 targets to keep a watch out for next week. Are we ready to roll, Mr. Parker? All righty, let's do it. Coming at you right now. Let's call a spade a spade. the Baltimore Ravens have a lot of holes in this roster. I still think they're going to be a good team. I still think they're going to get a lot of wins in 2026, but they have to do a lot over this next week and the NFL draft to make sure that happens. Offensive line, I think, is their biggest need. Defensive line, edge, and defensive tackle, they need some help in. Wide receiver, cornerback, hell, you could even throw linebacker in the mix as well. They're going to have to make some things happen over the next 5 to 6 days or so. Good news is they got $18 million in cap space to do so, and pending a Lamar Jackson extension, that number is only going to grow. $18 million does not sound a lot as right now, but you got to remember, that's top half in the league, okay? 15. There's a lot of teams that have far less than they do. In fact, there are a lot of teams that are far into the red. So, speaking across the whole National Football League, Baltimore's in a decent space and, a good spot to go and get some impact free agents that maybe won't break the bank, but are going to give the Baltimore Ravens a lot of really, really good snaps in 2026. We'll be live for free agency. I cannot wait. Producer Gage and I will be right here in front of this camera at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 Eastern Time. It's going to be a blast. We'll be ringing in picks as they come. Make sure to subscribe today and turn on those notifications. That way, whenever we do go live, you guys can come in and hang out with us. Let's start off with the offensive line and with Elijah Vera Tucker. Now, there was a report that came out decently recent, a couple of days ago, that the offensive line contracts are actually expected to be pretty decent this year in free agency, just because there is a lot of need for offensive linemen, and there are a lot of offensive line free agents. Elijah Vera Tucker was listed as one of those guys who's probably going to get paid a little bit more than originally anticipated. I think it's worth it. Look, you got question marks on that O-line. I think it would help Lamar Jackson a lot if you went into the season and started the season in 2026 with one less question mark on that front line, okay? Obviously, you can go draft an offensive lineman, but as much as I think Vega Wane is going to be a really good player out of Penn State, it's projection, okay? He's got to move from college to the NFL. Vera Tucker is a guy who we know can play football at this level. So is Jauan Johnson out of the Detroit Lions. He is a guy to look out for. Again, a lot of these guys aren't your cream of the crop, top of the line. Now, Tyler Biotish and Connor McGovern have been kicked around as well. I still hold that those two guys would be really, really good for the Baltimore Ravens. But Jauan Johnson, I thought he played a pretty decent football in Detroit. Definitely got to watch out for, as is David Edwards in Buffalo. If anything, I think David Edwards can just be a nice guy to kind of fall back on, and a nice guy to be out there and just get the best out of some of your young guys. Roll with him in a competition, and hey, may the best man win. Tied for 22nd overall grade. Now, I do believe that he probably benefit from playing on one of the better offensive lines, in the National Football League in Buffalo, but still not a terrible option on the offensive line. I think Isaac Seumalo might be the best that we're going to discuss. Funny thing is he actually played some of his best football with the Pittsburgh Steelers this last year, and kind of confusing as to why he was not re-signed with Pittsburgh. 12th in overall grade, 4th in pass block grade. This is a guy who definitely would come in here in year one, be an impact starter for the Ravens. And last up, Wyatt Teller, a guy whose name we kicked around a decent bit during the trade deadline with the Cleveland Browns. 46th overall grade, tied for 75th when it comes to his pass block, 39th when it comes to his run block. 24 pressures allowed, don't love that. But hey, he's played a lot of football, and I think he could probably see a pretty good improvement if you get him out of Cleveland, as is with the majority of their players. What's the biggest need for the Ravens in free agency? You let me know your answer down below in the comment section. These answers vary, based on who's answering that question. So I want to hear what you think, okay? Let me know your answer down below. Let's talk edge rushers now. How about Boye Mafe with the Seattle Seahawks? I think, from a value perspective, Boye Mafe is a really, really exciting possibility. I like the sack numbers to go kind of back up to what they were in 2023. But, pretty solid player. And I would trust Jesse Minter to be able to get as much out of Boye Mafe as anybody else on this list, okay? Maybe a couple of guys, not as much. But I still really, really like Boye Mafe a lot. As I do Jalen Phillips. If you watched us during the trade deadline, Jalen Phillips was the guy I was pounding the table for almost daily, the Baltimore Ravens to pull off a trade with. Just the way he pressures quarterbacks consistently, he does it as almost a better rate than anybody in the National Football League. And it shows 73 total pressures in 2025, ninth best in the NFL. He's a top 10 edge rusher when it comes to his ability to put pressure on the quarterback. That's exactly what Baltimore could not do in 2025. Khalil Mack, a guy we've talked about a good bit over the last couple of days. I think he's a legitimate option for Baltimore if he does not re-sign with the Chargers. We know he is going to play another year in the National Football League, and I still believe he can do so. Okay, he's going to be one of those guys that I don't want to say can't age, but age doesn't affect him as much as it does a lot of people. He also is great in the run game, too. I mean, look at that run defense grade. 80.6, top 10 of all edge defenders in the National Football League. Now, my Trey Hendrickson take might be a little bit hot for a lot of you guys. I like Trey Hendrickson, but I don't think I would pay Trey Hendrickson what a lot of people are expecting him to get paid. Because he played in 7 games last year. He's 30 years old, and he's coming off of a really, really big hip injury. Like, I'm not interested in paying a 30-year-old coming off a hip injury as much as people are saying they're going to pay him. So I will honestly, for that dollar amount, pass on Trey Hendrickson. Speaking of dollar amounts, I think Odafe Owais might be a little bit too much for you, but I still believe he's worth discussing. Maybe he wants to come back to Baltimore. Maybe Steve Bisciotti, Eric DeCosta can say, hey, man, no hard feelings. We just wanted to give you to Jesse Mentor to get you to start get some practice early because we know he's going to be our head coach in 2026. I don't know the conversation. But what I do know is that Jesse Mentor got a lot out of him. Okay, he had 0 sacks in Baltimore through the first 5 games. And then he goes to Chicago, and if you include the playoff game, he ends as a double-digit sack getter. You want Khalil Mack, though, to be a Raven? Let me know by giving me a yes or no down below in the comment section. Weigh in with your answer. He might be a little bit old, but I still think he's got a good bit left in the tank. So let me know your answer. Do you want Khalil Mack to be a Raven? Hey, let's be mindful of the sponsor we're putting on down below. Parker, make sure it is the correct one. We are going to be talking about our friends over at PrizePicks right now. The reason you are watching today's video all for 100% free. We're very, very appreciative for all that they have done for us here at the channel. And you can shoot your shot on PrizePicks today and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. PrizePicks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. PrizePicks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. PrizePicks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Pick from all your favorite sports. Anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. PrizePicks now has early payouts. If your play gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. My season-long PrizePicks projections for baseball go as follows. More on Juan Soto, 37.5 home runs. Less on Paul Skeens, 2.65 ERA. And give me the more on Roman Anthony, 20.5 bombs. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, let's talk defensive tackle. How about John Franklin Myers? We've been kicking around John Franklin Myers' name for a very, very long time, and for good reason, because this dude's an absolute stud. He can rush the passer from the interior. He can stop the run. He's a tackle machine, quarterback hit, pressure machine. John Franklin Myers, I would welcome him to Baltimore in an instant, as I would Calais Campbell. I need to ask Calais Campbell what he fuels his body with, because the fact that he's able to do the things he's able to do at his age is absolutely unbelievable. It's not just the statistics and the fact that he's still pulling in over 5 sacks a year at his age, but it's the fact that he's playing full freaking seasons, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted Calais Campbell in Baltimore last year in free agency. I want him again. Would not mind DJ Reader one bit either, okay? I don't think I would want Reader as much as I would want the guys like Calais Campbell or a John Franklin Myers, but I still think he'd be a good depth piece. That's probably about it when it comes to Reader, but I think it's worth it. You need more guys in that rotation. Kind of same breath when talking about Sheldon Rankins. Whether Nnamdi Madubuike is back or not, you got him and Travis Jones, okay? So you need a guy like Rankins to come in there and be a guy to shuffle in and play a couple snaps here or there and kind of see if he can make some things happen on those, second downs or such. And David Onyemata is our final free agent target at the defensive tackle position. Played football last year and the 2 years prior with the Atlanta Falcons. Tackle machine, man. Doesn't do as much for you in pass protection, but sometimes all you got to do is get a big guy right there in the middle to help you out when it comes to defending the run. This is an interesting question. And when I say that, I'm the one who came up with it, so I am patting myself on the back a little bit. Who is a player that you want to stay away from when it comes to free agency? Let me know your answer down below in the comment section. Now let's talk a little bit about wide receivers, okay? Jauan Jennings. I got a little bit of bias here because I am a former Tennessee Volunteer, so I love Jauan Jennings. He was there my freshman year of college. Absolute dog. But I just feel like he could come in, provide something new in this wide receiver room. Just a guy who is a contested catch monster, refuses to go down on first contact, catches most everything that comes his way. Just an absolute dog in every sense of the word. I think Deebo Samuel could be very interesting in this new Declan Doyle offense. I think Deebo Samuel is far over the hill. In fact, when Washington traded for him, I thought that was a stupid move by the Commanders. But I still think, if you can use him interestingly out of the backfield in the slot, orbit motions, he's a guy that's going to be able to give you a juice every now and then. Jalen Nailor, let's talk about him. Obviously, he has not lived up to his billing in the draft, but back-to-back seasons of 400 yards receiving. And I look at this last year of 2025, and I say 444 yards receiving with J.J. McCarthy. You could, do the math, and that would probably extrapolate out to 10,000 receiving yards in a season. So Jalen Nailor, not a terrible option. Wendell Robinson, just very quietly, had himself a 1,000-yard season with the New York Giants this past year. If you would ask me that in a trivia question, I'll be honest with you, I would have gotten that wrong. Now, the big problem with Wandale is the drops. He's had 10 in his last 2 seasons combined. Cut down from 2024 to 2025, but he's been a 90-catch guy the last 2 years. I think that'd be a fun little addition to this offense. Similar game style as Zay Flowers. It's probably his biggest knock, but still, nice little wrinkle. And Mike Evans. I still think Mike Evans has a lot left in the tank, ladies and gentlemen. He did break his 1,000-yard season. You're kind of starting to see that body wear down a little bit. He had a streak of 1,000 yards every single year up until this last year when he only got 368 because he was dealing with injury for the entirety of the year. But sometimes when a guy's that age deals with injury, it's a nice little reset for his body to come back even better the following season. How big of a need is wide receiver for the Ravens? Scale it for me 1 to 100 down below in the comment section. 100 meaning biggest need, 1 meaning smallest. Let me know what you got to say. Last up, let's talk about cornerbacks. We ended last one with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's start this one with one as well. When it comes to Jamel Dean, 46 tackles in 2025, 9 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and a touchdown as well. When you look at the PFF ranks, they really, really favor Dean. He's top 10 in 3 of these metrics. One of them in tackling, he's 13th. In run defense, he's 54th. I think you got to answer the question, what do you want out of Marlon Humphrey? I've kind of been pushing maybe a Marlon Humphrey trade. Would not mind getting Dean in at all to Baltimore. But again, not the biggest need. Jalen Watson, next guy we're going to discuss, out of Kansas City. Obviously, they made the big deal for Trent McDuffie, sending him to the Los Angeles Rams. Jalen Watson had a volatile 2025 season. Let's just call it that. Would you agree with me, Parker? Some highs, some lows. But he did some pretty decent things. Pretty good in the run. 6th in run defense grade, 8th in tackling grade, 16th overall. Not bad for the guy from Kansas City. A guy we talked about at the trade deadline. Another former Tennessee Volunteer. Yes, I am showing a little bit bias with this one as well. Alontae Taylor. Back-to-back seasons of 80 tackles. Also, just quietly 6 sacks in the last 2 years. Sounds like a Baltimore Ravens edge rusher, doesn't it? And he's a pass breakup machine. Okay? 27 combined in the last 2 seasons. He does get picked on a lot. Alontae Taylor kind of reminds me of 2022 Trayvon Diggs, where he was like a boom or bust type player. I think Reek Woolen might be my pick out of all of them. I would love to see Reek Woolen in this defense. Now, you might be tired of older cornerbacks that you feel like are over the hump, like a Marlon Humphrey. But, man, I still really, really like the player that Reek Woolen is. And we saw how he fit in Mike McDonald's system this last year in Seattle very, very well. I think he'd have that same exact fit in a Jesse Minter system because, of course, those two are the exact same. And we're going to round things out with Nahshon Wright out of Chicago. Nahshon, kind of similar to Jalen, had a volatile season in 2025, high highs, but also some very low lows. In fact, he kind of got targeted a decent bit. But again, that's why he was able to come up with something along the lines of 5 interceptions. That secondary was pretty solid, and Chicago did take a little bit of a big dip towards the end of the year. But again, this is a guy that I really, truly believe Jesse Minter could get a hold of and really, really turn him into something special. Longer video today, but appreciate you guys for sticking it all the way through. Make sure you guys got me followed on socials, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on both those platforms. They are linked down below in the comment section. And make sure you are subscribed. I've been pushing it all weekend long, okay? We are going to be live, ladies and gentlemen, LIVE for free agency. Make sure to lock us in, subscribe, so that way you don't miss a moment. Alrighty, that's going to do it, friends. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Parker, phenomenal job, my friend. We're going to get on out of here. Parker's got some cuts to get into. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we, like I've been telling you, are going to be live on Monday. Make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications. Gage and I are going to be chopping it up. It's going to be a ton of fun. Hope to see you all there. For producer Parker, my name is Joey Petersen. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and God bless.